Welcome to Spill the Ink. Today I'm delighted to have Ell P, an award winning writer, consultant, animal rescuer who was born and raised across India and now lives in the Netherlands. Writing has been a constant companion since childhood, but things got serious when she joined Write Club Bangalore in 2014. She now has 20 publications to her name, including her debut book, Shameless in Stilettos, which won the Author Pod Award in the thriller category in 2025. Her writing has been published in the Daily Guardian, India Today, Northeast Scroll.in, and Deccan Chronicle. And her novel, Swipe Right to Die, has been acquired by Bloomsbury and is slated for a summer 2027 release. Today, we're going to talk about books and beyond books, about women, relationships, creativity, and finding the grit to become comfortable in your own skin. That's okay. So, thank you, Elle, for being part of Spill the Ink. It's such a pleasure to have you here on the show.
Thanks, Tina. I've also been looking forward to this, and really looking forward to discussing more about writing and just having a conversation about writing. How we used to have all those years ago when we
Yes,
were a lot more connected through Women's Web and then again
yes.
the Hive and everything. So it's just good. It's been a while since I had a long chat with a friend about the craft of
Yeah,
writing. So I'm looking forward to this.
yeah. And you've really taken the craft to a next level completely. I mean, we'll talk about the book, but later. But first, we'll spill some ink, some quick ink. So this is
Yeah,
more like a rapid fire of sorts. So coffee or cocktails after your deadline?
coffee. I'm
Heal.
complete.
Yes, I tell.
I'm almost off alcohol. I barely have alcohol like once in 6 months, and I don't need a reason to have coffee. I'm happy, sad, depressed, celebrating, angry. So I will always have coffee.
Same here. I mean, coffee
Yeah,
is life.
yeah,
Cocktails can wait. Cocktails
exactly,
can
exactly.
wait. Okay.
I
So
know,
heels
right?
or sneakers?
Um, back in Bangalore, heels because I used to drive everywhere, right? So it was a lot easier for me to, drive wherever I'm driving, just drive valet parking at the pub or club and just walk in my heels. But here in the Netherlands, there's so much of walking that I prefer sneakers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Introvert or extrovert?
ambivert.
Okay. Yeah,
It
I
depends
got.
on the people I'm talking to.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
A fictional character you'd love to have brunch with.
Hmm. Fictional character I would love to have brunch with. Well, I um I recently uh, read this book called Play Nice by Rachel Harrison, and the central character in the book is Cleo, who's like this 25-year-old influencer, very sassy, a little immature but really sassy, and reminds me of my days when I was 25. So yeah, probably have brunch with her.
Nice. And one word your friends would use to describe you.
Mm, always rooting for them.
Okay, that's a
Yeah,
lovely, lovely.
I
So,
think that's how I'll be described. And especially people that we're very close to and we've seen their struggle, right?
yeah,
Like For example, my best friend, she got out of an abusive marriage. She managed to move to Australia, get a PR there, and she and her daughter by themselves are starting their life. And and both of them are now participating in beauty pageants and everything. She's representing Miss Classic, and she's representing her age group, and I am so proud of them, because I feel like, uh I mean, she's a perfect example of a woman by herself can achieve a lot more. So yeah.
What's the one thing that you're shameless about?
Mm, well, I think I'm not politically correct.
Oh,
When
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah, I'm
That
shameless about not being politically correct. Yeah.
your writing is totally shameless, in the sense shameless in a good way. Like there's no filter, nothing. And I
Yeah.
think that's a delight for readers that might shock some people.
I It's funny because when I speak, right, I'm while I'm not politically correct, I say what I want to say, but I'm also careful about the words that I choose.
Yeah.
I'm not like that when I'm writing. It's almost like a different person. It's like the inner rage comes out, and you know so yeah.
So, let's go back in time and see where it all began. So, what was the young LP like?
I would say the young LP was very stupid, right?
Okay.
So I grew up on Jackie Collins and Mills and Boons, and uh, uh, I I grew up on a lot of things. I grew up on a lot of Mills and Boons. I grew up on a lot of Frederick Forsyth, on a lot of James Hadley Chase and everything. So I had like uh, this whole thing of wanting to become a detective and solving murders, and at the same time I had this very romantic view of the world where I wanted to fall in love and live the rest of my life with one person and have a picket fence house. So it's a lot of conflicting desires, and maybe that's the reason why I like cozy mysteries as well,
Yeah.
because cozy mysteries are the perfect blend between detecting and finding love and everlasting love and everything. So yeah, and but then real life has its own way of teaching you a lot of lessons. In fact, just yesterday or day before, I was talking to my partner about this, and we were talking about the theory of karma, right? And how I see that people from my parents' generation, anything bad that is happening in life is often attributed to karma. But
Yeah.
when I look back at the challenges that I went through, I was so indoctrined into this concept of karma, because I grew up listening to my parents. I kept thinking, what I kept recalling everything that I have done wrong to have to suffer through
Yeah.
these things. But now, 15 years later, when I look back, I realized that if I hadn't gone through that, I wouldn't be what I am today. So I'm so glad I went through that. I don't care if it's karma or if it is my journey to go through this, but I'm very happy with the person that I have become. So yeah, it's
Such a coincidence, because I was also in a similar frame of mind in
yeah,
the last few months. Because, see, when you see death so up close,
yeah,
you
yeah,
it transforms you completely. For me, what seemed like a curse or suffering or bad luck in the past is now I see so clearly a blessing in disguise, like how you said, your sufferings. So for me, it was my past struggles in a boarding school, my stammering, something which I had. I looked at it with the very heavy heart
Yeah.
and stuff. But
Yeah.
now when I look back, I think I was a child. I was away from my home. I was surviving on my own. I was I roughed it out on my own as a child, as a 4 year old. And if that 4 year old could do it then, she can do it now too. What seemed like a misfortune or I mean, in my mind seemed so small in comparison. And I derived strength from that dark phase. Like, I mean, if I could do it all alone, then I can be all alone now also. So somewhere that strength has come from the past, or even stammering, something that was like I was ashamed of. But now I am thankful for that phase because now it's made me more empathetic towards people who have different kinds of struggles in
Yeah.
their, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So it's made me a softer, nicer person, I think. If I'd not been through that thing and
Hmm.
been mocked, I don't think I would have been this person who I am today. So all the struggles, I'm actually thanking the Lord for it. So I would not trade my shoes with anybody else. So
Exactly.
so
Same.
that's
Same.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. So whatever people see as bad luck or whatever it is, I'm fine with it. I'm good. I'm happy about it. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think, you know, yeah, these trials are for
it's what makes
us to exactly, exactly like they say, right? That um to make the most beautiful gold jewelry, it has to be put through fire,
yeah.
right? So I mean, it's the same thing. We just in the end we just turn out to be way better versions of
Yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you all always know that you wanted to become a writer?
Um, from childhood, I used to love telling and writing stories, and I mean, I've been like a voracious reader since childhood, and I've written stories for school. In fact, I think I was 7, and I wrote like this novella length ghost story that my mom said that she's kept it safely somewhere, but I think with all the moving, it's been lost. So yeah, yeah, I've been always into writing, but then again, life happened. You go to college, and then you start working, and you meet someone, and you get married, and you have kids, and then everything just keeps getting pushed. So it was only in 2014 that I started going to Right Club Bangalore, and I started getting interested in writing again. So I would go every Saturday, and there would be a prompt, and we would write a short story. And every week that I wrote a short story, when I would look back, I would see how I'm improving as a writer, because we would write and read it out, and then you would get feedback on the story. So it just made me realize that, and I felt like this was way more beneficial to me as a writer in understanding the craft of writing than any writing workshop.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
So through Write Club Bangalore, I met my tribe of writers who I became very, very close to. So now they're less writer friends and more family. And we started Lit Latte. Through Lit Latte, we released a few anthologies, and then there was Right Club Bangalore. Through Right Club Bangalore, we released a few anthologies, and then of course, in 2016 or 2015, I came across Women's Web and started, submitting articles, and I met Sandhya and Anu and everybody else for the first time. So through Women's Web, I met you and Sonal and so
Yeah.
many people. Yeah. So So yeah, the whole tribe of writers in the community kept getting more, and the more I read, the more I learned. In terms of craft of writing. So
So
yeah, I think
yes, yeah, keep on going.
go on, go
So
on, go on.
no, you can go on. I'll continue after that.
Yeah.
No problem.
So, like I was saying, I think a lot of things were put on a back burner until I was in a position, 12 years ago, to start taking writing seriously. And then, of course, like you can write, but can you publish? You know, Writing is one thing, publishing is an entirely different ball game altogether. So yeah, and
I
it's
haven't come to that stage yet.
yeah,
Uh, but I remember your story, Hot Candy, on the platform,
yeah,
Women's Web, and I was
yeah,
totally blown away. And I think I instantly got in touch with you, and that's how we
yeah,
connected. And I have been reading all your articles after that. I mean, all your articles and short stories. I remember there was a non-fiction article that you wrote also on divorce,
yeah,
somebody
yeah,
in the bus, and that was also pretty hard hitting. So I could
yeah.
see you were quite a versatile writer early on back then. And then later on, I explored your work, and from horror to erotica to dark humor, everything. And I was totally amazed because very few people can switch genres
Genres,
so
yeah.
effortlessly. And in this book also, you've kind of mixed in all of them, and it's come out so well. Um, the next one is, what is one thing that people assume about you that is completely wrong?
Um, hmm. I'm generally like a lot of people don't think that I come from south of India, but that's again because my mom is from north and everything. So that's I wouldn't even consider that as a presumption. I think a lot of people assume my name cannot be Lakshmi.
Yes.
Yeah, nobody looks at me and thinks that I look like a Lakshmi. So, and I've been told that on a few occasions as well. So yeah, and I find it quite charming and endearing because when you think about it, I think Lakshmi in 21st century would still not be wearing Kanjivaram silk saris and heavy gold jewelry or something.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
but I've met a lot of these South Indians, especially the Brahmins, Tam Brahms, or Brahmins, all those with a very typically traditional South Indian names. And when you meet them, they're extremely mod, wearing the
yeah,
most hep clothes and talking.
yeah,
They're way more modern than the most modern group that you think they are.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
I mean, I've seen so many like that, you know. I mean, it's just a name at the end of the day, I
yeah.
think.
Exactly,
Uh,
exactly.
and yeah, the North Indian thing also. I mean, I thought you were a North Indian for sure. And somebody who looks a bit like, I don't know if you've got this compliment or you've got this comment, but a bit like Jacqueline Fernandez, a bit.
Okay.
I don't
Okay.
know if people
Oh
have told
my
you this.
God.
I don't know if people have told you this, but a
My
bit like.
family will never hear the end of it now. Thank you, Tina.
No, but I always thought that. I mean, I have
Hmm.
something like her. In
Yeah,
terms of
like
looks.
for me to look even remotely close to Jacqueline Fernandez, I think I'll have to lose 30 kilos and and increase my height by another uh, 4 or 5 inches.
No, but you are tall enough.
Hmm.
You're tall enough. I've seen you in
Yeah,
person. And I remember the very first meet that we had, the very first time that we met. I think we just met once. And in that first meet itself, you came and told me that it's all just writing sincerely. I mean, I was just praising your work and, saying
hmm.
how great you were. And then you were like, no, no, that I'm not great at all. There's nothing great about me. It's just that I joined this club and we get this live feedback. It's just sheer dedication. I mean, you kind of put it so basic. So that kind of stuck to my head for a very long time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so, it boils down to getting your head down and writing,
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than being gifted or being exceptional from the start. So yeah,
I
that's a
don't
very
know if you
good
remember,
approach.
but we also tried starting the Writers Critique Club online because
Yeah.
I really wanted to have something like Write Club Bangalore
Hmm.
online where people read and provide critique to help improve each other. But then
Hmm.
that did not take off. And over a period of time, I've also realized that, a lot of people are quite
Busy.
hesitant, especially new writers, aspiring writers are very hesitant to put their work out there and receive critical feedback. I tried something here. So I run the Rotterdam Writers Circle here, and initially I tried to make it like a critique club that you come, you write, and then everybody discusses what you've written and provide. I mean, obviously discusses all the good things and things that can improve. Um first meetup I had like two people drop out. So I'm like, okay, just come and write, it's fine. We'll talk about writing, you don't have to read your work. So yeah, yeah, I feel like I feel like for upcoming writers it's really important to put your work out there.
Because that's what you did right at the start, and you've come
Yeah,
because of that feedback, right? You
yeah,
were
yeah.
open to taking it. um what's the one childhood memory that you still find yourself going back to, even to day?
I think that would be I grew up mostly in the north. So my mom's side of cousins and uncles and aunts and everybody was around close by. So if for me it would be all those family gatherings, which really
Hmm.
kind of it was the best time for me.
I think
I
the same.
Yeah, yeah. I was too young to realize it. I was like full
Yeah.
of rage that somebody, my cousin brother, came and pulled my hair. But now, when I think back, it was really nice.
Same, same. I mean, we had a huge group of cousins and aunts and their kids, and it was so much of fun because we would meet up so often, but there would be lots of fights and gossip and all that. But
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
back, it's like the best times because we hardly meet nowadays. Now let's talk about the book. So, for
Yeah.
those who have not picked the book, how would you describe it without giving away too much?
Well, Shameless and Stilettos in itself is a thriller, right? It's a thriller with, the central character being a female detective who's dealing with a lot of her own issues and carries within her a lot of rage. So it's all about solving the murder while navigating the political landscape of, a place like Bangalore, being a woman, interrogating people from high places, getting the right information. So it's all about that. But at the same time, it's about sex, being absolutely unapologetic about desire, right? So what I wanted was to have when I wrote this book, I never thought about writing it to fit into a genre. I wanted to write a book that I wanted to read, something which is all about human experiences, right? Like with everything, there has to be a murder, there has to be investigation, crime procedural, there has to be sex, there has to be really different characters with very different personalities all coming together and creating this amazing story. So for me, that's what the book is about. Yeah.
So, which character in the book surprised you the most while you were writing them?
um I think it would be Rachel. She surprised me the most because every other character has followed the path that I laid out for them. Rachel was the one who, in the end, for me, came out as a wild card. And I think if you've read the book, you know why,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. Wow. Okay, yeah. And has one of these characters taught you something about yourself?
Mm, Um, there are two ways of looking at it. One, the book, writing the book taught me about a lot about who I am as a writer. What is my voice, right? So my voice combines a lot of genre with humor
Yes.
and spice. So the one thing that I learned about myself, that it's virtually impossible for me to write a PG-13
Yeah.
work
A
of
kid's book.
fiction. Yeah,
Yeah,
I cannot write a children's book. So maybe
it's
I should try
impossible.
it. Yeah, it's virtually impossible for me because I
Never say
don't have
never.
fun writing it, right?
Yeah.
So I when I'm writing
But
a book, I want
something
to have
like,
fun.
let's say something like Stephen King's IT, a young
It,
adult
yeah.
kind of a coming of age genre. I think that is something that I can see you doing.
Um, yeah, that's a very good point that you brought up because it's very hard for me to relate to teenagers.
Oh,
Yeah. So when I say relate to teenagers as a central character, pivotal character in my book.
oh,
It's a lot easier for me to relate to middle-aged women as pivotal characters in my book, or even women who are in their 60s, 70s or something. It's difficult for me to relate to 20-year-old women who are characters in my book. So yeah, it's almost like I've forgotten what it was like.
be that.
So yeah, so even if I'm writing a teenager, I would probably write the teenager from the point of view of her mom
Okay, okay.
than from the teenager's point of view.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's
So,
how I feel now. Maybe things will
hmm.
change, but yeah.
So if you had to name this chapter of your life, give it a title, what would it be?
Ah, course correction.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think it would be course correction.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether to ask you further or
No,
just take
I mean,
to
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go
Yeah,
ahead. You
yeah.
can.
Why course correction?
I I feel like, there's a lot that has changed in me after moving here to the Netherlands, right? One of the most important things that I have inculcated is this extreme focus towards my health and fitness, right? So it's almost like now I am trying to rectify all the mistakes that I have made growing up until the age of 43, 44, of all the junk that I've eaten, all the alcohol that I've had, the workouts that I have not done, the life that I have lived, and trying to course correct that now to make sure that when I'm old, when I'm like 85 or 87 or something, I'm still able to squat and hold that squat for 30 seconds. So for me, that's one of the biggest things that has changed, and hence the reason why I've like almost never have alcohol. And the second thing is more in terms of savings and building a financial base, right? Something which, and this is a very Indian society problem where women are not taught to be financially savvy from the time they're growing up. It becomes a husband's job, husband's responsibility, and then suddenly at 34 you find yourself divorced and you don't know what the hell to do with your life, and you barely have any life savings, right? So so yeah, that's the second thing that I'm more focused on. And now I'm also writing with the purpose of uh, building income through writing as well, which was never the case before. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah, these are all things that even I'm, once you reach a certain age,
Yeah.
life, and I don't know how in the past, women were like, ignorant about these things and never had to bother. I mean, the same was with our case, but then life happens to you, and then you're like, all,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you don't have a choice. And the thing is that at that point of time, if you look at our parents' generation, a lot of times they've lived in difficult and abusive marriages only because they don't have any financial backing, they don't have education, they don't have work experience, they don't know what to do.
uh, no, but I'm saying, let's say somebody like me, their spouse has passed away. Then
Yeah,
what do you, who, you're just, what do you do? You don't, I mean,
exactly, exactly.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
at least, it's like the devil and the dark sea. You're either, with a abusive partner or your partner's no more. So
yeah.
either ways you've got to take stock, right? You just can't, you can't afford not to know about these things. Your health, your money, all these things are such important things.
Absolutely, absolutely true, right? And I see a lot within India, outside, the millennial generation now going through this transformation into becoming fitter, into becoming
Yeah.
more financially savvy, being more independent. There's more number of Indian women who are 35
Yeah.
plus who've never been married, who are
Yeah.
quite happy with their lives than there was in the past.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, lot of things what society told us was the right thing to do.
Uh,
People are now questioning it. Is it really the right thing for me? I mean, it might be the right thing for somebody else, but it may not be the norm.
yeah.
It may not be the right thing for me to do. So, yeah. And your characters in the book are navigating through a lot of things, like separation, loneliness, identity, marriage, grief, expectations. Do you think modern relationships have become more complicated, or we are just being honest about it now?
Feel like we're being honest about it. Look, I mean, there are so many different variables to consider, right? A woman working in our parents' generation was like either they would be working in a bank or they would be working as a teacher, right? Or maybe a doctor. But anything beyond that was really unheard of, right? Now
Yeah,
you have professions, you have so many different kinds of professions, right? So I feel like it's not just the fact that, the relation. I mean, forget the relations being complicated. It's not just the fact that people are being more honest. It's also the fact that a boy who's typically seen his mother, get up at 5 in the morning, cook breakfast, cook lunch, pack everybody's lunch, and then send the kids to school, and then go to office, and then be home by 5 o'clock, and then immediately start preparing dinner and cleaning the house and everything. Now that boy has to be with a woman who is expecting equal work. Like if
mm,
I'm working 8 hours a day and you're working 8 hours a day, we're doing the same amount of work in the house.
yeah,
And he's not able to reconcile that image with his mom's image.
correct, correct.
Right. And that is where a lot of I see a lot of problem coming, where women have moved on. Women have moved on from that subservient mindset that they were raised in, and they've become more independent. But men still have a long way to catch up.
Yeah. True, 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 true. Um, Even to this day, I think it's not changed much, because women are still not an active part of the workforce, the
Yeah,
corporate
yeah,
workforce,
yeah,
because of the lack of support system.
yeah.
Many of us might have moved on, but many of us are still stuck in systems where it's still dependent on you, your child, and the home. You just can't leave and join a workplace. It's still the
Yeah,
same case for a lot of women in the workforce, plus ageism, which goes against you after a certain age. You
yeah,
just can't. I mean, there are return to work programs and all, but it's still not. I mean, it's not the same for men and women, right? Men
absolutely. So,
can
yeah,
still
when
get a lot of leeway in our country. I think they still do.
yeah. In fact, when I was working with Society General, I was leading one of the programs called Maitri. This was more for women, women empowerment, inclusiveness, and everything. And one of the biggest challenges that we were facing is that the minute from the mid management layer onwards, the diversity just drops.
Hmm.
The number of women who kind of start falling off the workplace after the mid management layer, because that's typically the time
Yeah.
where they would probably have kids and everything, and that became a huge challenge because we were the headquarter was like, we need to increase the number of women in workplace, and especially women in IT, right? So because IT is even now a very male dominated sector. So yeah, it
And,
is, it's a
and
long way
those
to go.
who yeah, and those who do break the glass ceiling often, or at the CXO or CEO or CEO level, they all are somebody's daughter, somebody's wife.
Mm,
You'll rarely find somebody who's coming from a middle class home, who's coming from a non-privileged background, starting right from the start and going up. There are
yeah,
very
yeah,
few cases like that. And
yeah,
those
yeah,
few that you see right at the top, they've come through nepotism or privilege or something. And
yeah,
people look at that figure and see, oh, those people have broken the glass ceiling. But that's not the case. I mean, if you look closely,
yeah, yeah,
it's not a fair representation there as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like a common woman
Yeah, I'm
has to
talking about,
struggle,
yeah,
4 or 5 times more than a man
yeah,
to be noticed at work,
yeah,
to get the growth, and at home as well, find that
yeah,
support system.
yeah.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, yeah. Characters, I mean, your
Mm.
characters are going through really, really dark times, right? At the same time, you in infuse humor in the way they think, the way they go about their lives. Do you think humor and darkness often coexist?
For me, it does. Humor is a coping mechanism, and I feel like, um, it's almost like that slight sliver of light at the end of the tunnel. So for me, yes, it does. And I'm one of those people who enjoys dark humor a lot. I would laugh at the most awkward situations. If there is like a flood coming towards me, I'll probably run, but I'll also laugh. I'm like, really? Now?
We're the same way. We're the same way. I mean, for me
Yeah,
also, I joke at the most inappropriate moments. I laugh at the most inappropriate things. It's what keeps me going. It's what
yeah,
helps me, sail through those tough times. So
yeah, yeah,
this comes naturally to me. I mean, just like the way it comes to you.
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. I have a question though. How is
Hmm.
your teenager dealing with this character of her mom?
That's a very interesting question, actually, because she's still a child, right? So the
Yeah.
other day, I was casually talking about what if the roles were swapped? If I had to go away and it was your dad here.
Ryan was there, yeah.
And I think I told her that I think he would have married again, and I would want him to. And she was shell shocked. She was
Hmm.
totally shocked. And it was like a trauma for her. She couldn't bear the thought of her
Yeah,
dad having another woman if her mother died. I
yeah,
said, he did all that he could to be a good husband, and we had a good marriage. He's free to marry whoever he wants after my time. I just wish
yeah,
that we had this conversation where, if we knew for sure if one of us were going to go,
yeah,
would it be okay for the other one? Because I would want him to, move on.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
she was shell shocked. So she
yeah,
was like, it's okay if people get divorced and then get married again. But if you die and you get married again, that's just weird. That's just
yeah,
plain
yeah,
weird. So it was very difficult for her to, then I thought, okay, I'm broaching it up too soon. Then I told her that, but then I had to really, really, really calm her down. And then when I told her that I'm sure your daddy will never do something that you are uncomfortable with. So if
yeah,
he knows that you're not comfortable with somebody else in his life, he's not going to go ahead. Then she eased and she was like, yeah, then she was little happy. Yeah, yeah, daddy will not do that. And then later I told her, see, I'm sure that Ryan will be like, why are you torturing and traumatizing her more further for something that I may not even do also, he must be
yeah,
telling that. So for me, it was a very humor. Like, I just didn't mind. Like, and I was like, it's fine, it's chill. I mean, I'm cool with
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but and even something like he's chilling, he's got a better life, he's having a party, she's like, what is wrong with this person? Like, why
Yeah,
can
yeah,
he look at everything with humor or with an optimistic bent of mind? So she
yeah.
is like still like, she's like, sometimes she just looks at me and like, are you off your nuts? Are you off your
Yeah, it's
thing?
that look that they give you because I get the same thing from my son as well.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
18,
yes.
right? So it's
So,
almost like I'm like the biggest embarrassment of his life.
yeah, yeah.
So and
I've
he'll be like,
seen your posts.
Mom,
Yeah.
Mom.
I've seen your posts. It's
Yeah,
women are often expected to compete with each other, but in your book, it's not as straightforward as that, right? Your book shows us how relationships between women are more complicated than what's shown,
yeah, yeah.
where women support each other, misunderstand each other, and challenge each other.
Uh, I think it's just writing from genuine experience, right? End of the day, I feel the whole narrative of women being jealous of other women and everything is a very it's a male propaganda. I wouldn't even say male propaganda. I think their simple brains only understand it in that context. They're not able to, grasps the depth of the relationship and the history and
Yeah,
the multiple feelings that come in between, right?
yeah.
So I feel like it's a very wrong way of just writing it off as jealousy. I think
Mm.
there's so many different layers, and that's what I try to explore. I just explored what I have experienced. So yeah.
Yeah. And especially, I think I I don't know if it's controversial or it's a sweeping statement, but I think women can live without men, but men cannot live without a woman in most cases. I feel that way. I feel women can be perfectly fine with
Yeah.
women friends, like sisterhood and all, but men, though they talk a lot about the bro code and all that stuff, but their attention is always on a woman all the time, and they
Yeah.
think that they are dressing up for them when the truth is woman is dressing up for herself or dressing up to be
Where
on
she's
par
going
with
to. Yeah,
women
yeah,
in their lives too. If
yeah,
her
yeah,
friend is
exactly.
dressing up well, she too wants to dress up well. It's not
Yeah,
always for men as men think. They think that
yeah, yeah.
the men are the center of all attention in a woman's life, but it's more complicated than that. I mean, it's not the case all
No,
the time.
I kind of agree. I do agree. I also feel that this level of independence comes after a certain age.
Mhm.
Uh, and I say this for my generation. I see that with Gen Alpha or later millennial, Gen X or later millennials, I see women at a very young age are a lot more self-aware, lot more independent, and very clear about what they want. So, and I'm really happy that things are moving in that direction.
Yeah, but mine could be a sweeping statement too. I mean,
Mm.
considering it's not as black and white as women don't
Yeah,
need men, men need a woman. It's not as black and white as that also. So that's like
yeah,
a sweeping
yeah.
statement. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it also depends on the guy. It's a
depends.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
it's
generalization, but yes, in a lot of
yes,
cases, it is also true because I've seen so many situations where when a woman dies, within the next 6 months or 1 year, the guy's married again, right?
yeah.
And it's not even like the guy wants to marry, it's his family that forces him to get married. And I'm like, okay, at least let the person mourn, let the children mourn. Yeah,
So yeah, I mean that see there I have two takes. One is um the societal thing, like if a man does it, nobody
yeah,
blinks the eye. But if a
yeah,
woman were to do the same thing in just a few months, everybody would question.
yeah, yeah.
Not just a few months, after a few years too. So they
After a
would
few years as well.
probably
Yeah,
have that. But at the same time, I also feel that's what I was trying to say. A woman can live without a man, but a man needs a woman,
yeah,
needs
yeah.
to be,
Especially if he
needs,
has kids, he
yeah,
even if he feels he's competent enough to take care of the kids,
the family.
everybody else will keep telling him, no, they need a mother, they need a mother, they need a mother. And there's only so much that you can resist that conditioning.
Yeah, correct, correct, correct. Yeah, yeah. Was there a moment while you were writing the novel that you wondered if you could pull it off?
No, I never doubted myself. Took a long time to write it,
Yeah.
but
But
I was very convinced that I'm going to write it. Yeah.
that's great. Did writing this book change you in any way?
Mm, yeah, I mean, it did change me quite a bit. This was my first attempt at writing queer characters. So you have Rachel and Nisha, for which I did a lot of research. I do have queer friends, but
Okay.
yeah, and I am an ally, but that does not automatically make me an expert in the challenges that a queer person goes through, right? So there was a lot of conversations, there was a lot of discussion, research. Those parts, Rachel and Nisha's parts, were things that I had a few beta readers who are queer themselves read it and tell me if I'm doing justice there, right? So that, and it also brought in a lot of empathy, especially Rachel's struggles and challenges. Because if you notice, between Rachel and Nisha is still quite independent, and
Yeah, yeah,
she's
yeah.
still she's not. So one is, you are bound by the society, so Nisha is a little bit bound by society and family, but she's not bound by religion. Rachel, on the
Yeah,
other hand, was not
yeah,
just
yeah.
bound by society, she was also bound by religion. And And the religious hold on her was something which was very hard for her to break out of. So
Yes.
that, while writing her character, it brought in a lot of empathy within me to somebody who's, who is queer and has been brought up in a stringent religion, right? And the struggle that they face there in terms of identity is just, it's so hard.
I think you handle all those characters very, very sensitively and also with a lot of empathy, especially the protagonist. I mean, is she the protagonist or do we have four? Meenakshi is who I
Is the
would see as
protagonist,
the
yes.
protagonist.
Yeah, yeah,
So I mean, the pain that she's going through, and she just had to, let it all out through anger and
yeah,
but you feel so much for her, like, and I think you handled her character with a lot of empathy, with all that she was going through in life. The
yeah,
immense loss and she being in the midst of something as big as this.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I I really like the way you handled her.
Thanks,
Um,
Tina.
so I'd love to step beyond the page of the book now because in the larger picture, we are talking about a lot of issues, right, that the book deals with. So let's talk a little bit beyond the page, the issues that the book is dealing with. Many women spend years worrying about what others think. What helped you become more comfortable in your skin?
uh yeah, if somebody had asked me to write this book at the age of 25, I definitely wouldn't have written it, because I was very worried about how people see it. I think somewhere, writing Shameless and Stilettos was very cathartic, because it opened up who I am to the world, right? This is me. I like killing people. I like investigating murders. I like, you know, I like desire. I like exploring different things. I like, I like researching about alternative. I like reading about it. So this is who I am. This is who what I enjoy, and this is what I'm going to write about, right? So,
I think a
and
lot of
and
women are like that, but they're conditioned to not be openly the way they are because of what society will think of how.
exactly, you know, as I started writing, there were a lot of times where I would discuss with my partner about, I mean, I've written this, and what would be the backlash? And he's like, finish it, just finish the book, and we'll see, because it still takes time to find an agent, a publisher, and everything. I was like, okay. And then I got a call from Reading Literary Agency, where Sharvani was like, I loved the book. And coming from Sharvani, who's been an editor for Amish trilogy, it was a huge, huge compliment. I was like, okay, now if the book doesn't even get published, that's fine. I have Sharvani who likes the book. So, and then of course Tara published it and everything, and somehow what I anticipated in terms of a backlash uh, did not come. Women loved it. They the reviews and the feedback and the articles and everything, they really liked it. The book has not yet reached a vast audience. So if it reaches a
So
vast
true.
audience,
Yeah.
yeah, then yeah,
See, I think in their 20s, late teens, early 30s, uh, they would be cool with the book. It's the older generation which is a little more judgmental that they would.
Yeah, yeah,
probably be shocked at what the contents are. Uh,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's because they're conditioned a certain way,
yeah,
and um, I think yeah, and as you said, I think once it goes mainstream, that's the problem. But then again, on Netflix is also mainstream, and the content on Netflix is like all over the place.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
think it would not be shocking compared to what's shown on Netflix nowadays, or OTT, where things are more transparent and more
yeah,
open, right?
yeah, yeah, true. And also, I mean, my parents read it, my partner's parents read it. So, both my mom and my
How
partner's
did your
mom,
mom and how did your mom like it?
my mom loved it. She is
Okay,
just
okay,
really enjoyed reading it. So did my partner's mom. She loved it as well, and she found the ending so satisfying, right? And
okay. That is really nice.
yeah, yeah. My dad had a few points, and he's like, do you think you can tone down on these things? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no. But yeah, it
Oh,
was,
okay, okay.
yeah,
No, but I think either you write or you write with no filter or you don't write at all. It's
yeah,
like, especially when you're writing fiction, right? Why do you need to have filters? Because it's a fictionalized thing anyway. You're not hurting
yeah,
somebody, you're not talking about somebody's life. You're just inventing a few characters and having fun with it. So you're
absolutely,
hurting
absolutely.
nobody.
Yeah,
Even if you kill them, you abuse them, you're not hurting people, right? It's not a non-fiction book where you're taking somebody who you know and you're killing them off, or you're abusing them, or you're being. So I think in fiction, if you don't have fun, then where will you have fun?
absolutely,
So it's
absolutely.
fine.
And also, one of the purposes of writing this book to bring in the concept of kink, right?
Uh,
The world of kink within India was to create a bit of awareness, right? Because when I started researching about it, I came across these platforms which are like Facebook for people who are into different fetishes, right?
yeah,
And I'm like, if people, it's almost like the service that dating sites are doing.
yeah. Hmm.
When you meet somebody at workplace, you don't know if they're single, if they're seeing somebody, they're there to work, and it's wrong to go and hit on them because I've come here to work.
Yeah,
So why are you hitting on me, right? But when somebody is on a dating site, they are there to
yeah,
meet someone.
yeah,
And it's the same thing when somebody is on a site which is like social media for people who have fetishes. You are meeting your kind of people, you are meeting people who are also into the same thing, rather than finding some unsuspecting soul and then putting that person through it, right? So I feel
yeah.
like it's a more consensual way of exploring
Sexuality.
alternative desires.
So that, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I have so many questions, but I'll keep that aside for you one
Yeah.
on one. Why did this person
Okay.
give this? Why did this person do this? You know, so many, and I don't know why, but when I was reading your book, I was thinking of all these Tollywood actors,
Hmm.
who are into this kind of
Anand
kink and
Reddy.
huh? Yeah,
Anand
the
Reddy,
Reddies and
yeah,
all that.
yeah,
I don't want to name the actors, but I was like having their flashes in mind, like this
yeah,
character for this person, this character for this person. I don't know why. I was just thinking of these rich Tollywood stars with a lot of power, or these
yeah,
politicians with a lot of power and land and wealth and all
yeah.
that, who have a respectable family as as their front face, but
Mm.
behind the scenes they are into all kinds of kinks
Yeah,
and
yeah,
lifestyle.
exactly. Yeah,
So
true.
I was so if you had to cast somebody as Meenakshi, Mia, Rachel, and Nisha, who would it be?
I think
Oh, you didn't
Meenakshi.
think about it.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it, but I feel like Meenakshi would be Rani Mukherjee.
Oh,
Definitely for me. Yeah. Or Tabu.
Yeah.
And Mia would probably be Huma Qureshi. Um,
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting choice.
Um, Nisha would be Jyotika, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, nice.
Rachel would be I don't remember the girl's name, but she became quite famous through YouTube videos. She has like really curly hair, and she was in a
I
movie
know.
with, yeah,
Mitali, something with M.
yeah, yeah,
Mitali.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I imagined her in Rachel's role.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. You've reinvented yourself more than once. What advice would you give to somebody who's afraid of starting over?
Okay, this is the first time I've heard that I've reinvented myself more than once. Okay, so I
Okay, I get the reinvention part. Uh, you had to start over at some point in your life, right? From the scratch.
yeah,
The world
yeah,
that you knew or the life that you knew just went to ashes, and it was like starting straight from there.
yeah,
So, what
yeah.
advice would you give to somebody who had to start over again?
Yeah, okay. So I think you mean my divorce, right? So the one thing that I have to say is I was very lucky in this context because mine is a very amicable divorce. So I am still very much in touch with my son's father. I'm very much in touch with his wife. We have all four of us, along with my son, have family calls together, and it's almost like the fur babies are with him, the human baby is with me. So it's been very very you know uh, pleasant, and yes, obviously there was a lot of trauma, there was a lot of fighting, there was a lot of screaming and a lot of crying and everything that we went through. But the one thing which both of us are very clear and particular about is, yeah,
Yeah,
unlike,
go on.
yeah, yeah, unlike typical Indian divorces, we are not going to become sworn enemies,
Yeah.
because he's going my son is going to grow up in a healthy household. So we try to make it as healthy as possible. So whatever decisions we took, it was between the two of us. No parents were involved, because we realized that when we were involving parents, things were going up to, police mein case kar denge, ye kar denge, wo kar denge wala level, right? So we decided we are not involving any parents. I'm not moving out of the house. He's gonna move out of the house and be in the house whenever I need support in terms of taking care of the kids and everything. So that was, and for me everything happened in phases. So that was phase one. Phase two was me. I was consulting. So I was working freelance. Then I took up a full time job. Because it was very important that I start earning more and start saving. And for me, I have to thank my mom and my aunts for drilling it into my head to never stop working. So that is the biggest blessing of my life. Even now, in fact, I've been my company went through downsizing, so my entire team has been laid off. So I am between jobs, but I have taken up a part-time job in between to kind of keep having the money rolling in until I find the job that I'm suited for.
Right.
Right. So that was something which I was very very clear about, that I will do whatever it takes, but money has to keep coming in. So
So that is the practical side that I was talking about. Like, what would you advise people who have to start over from scratch, right? So that would be like,
yeah, yeah,
don't stop working, just keep working.
yeah.
Because
And if you, for any reason, find yourself at the age of 37, 38, that you have to go and work, I think what's important is to remember that At 37, 38, when you don't have much work experience or your last job was 10 years ago, you can't immediately join in a manager's role.
Correct.
You have to again start small, start as a fresher, or start as a slightly lower position and everything. And in fact, I did that when I moved here, because i I was like, at a very senior role in an investment bank back in India, but here I'm nothing, so I have to start small, right? So that was something which was the second lesson for me, is that you know work your way up, identify what you want to do, build your skill sets, get the right certifications if needed, and start working your way up. So that's the advice that I would give. And the ones who are working, don't stop working. Utilize your leaves, utilize your maternity leave or whatever it is. Bring your mom over to your place to take care of your kids, but don't stop working.
Okay, if the characters from your book were to meet you, what would they say about you?
Uh, I have honestly never thought of it.
Right.
I think Meenakshi is going to abuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's not going to like who I am.
You've given us such a tough life.
Yeah, yeah. More than that, I mean, you see how she is, right? She's like, she just
Yeah.
dismisses
Yeah, she's
everyone.
abusive. Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Hmm. So
Okay,
she
okay.
most definitely won't like me.
Rachel would, I think.
Rachel, Mia would. Nisha won't
Mia,
have an opinion about me.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Something that didn't go according to your plan, but it ended up leading to you to something better.
Um, I think it was moving here to the Netherlands, because before moving to the Netherlands, I was trying really hard to get an internal transfer into our offices here. But the hiring was frozen that year, and then I just made a decision. I was like, okay, forget it. Let me just move here and try and find a job here. Um, it's been a struggle from a career perspective. I'm still not at that level where I was back in India, but it's also been a great learning experience for me. And what I realized is that once the merger happened of my previous company's offices here, they anyways pretty much fired everybody who was there. So even if I had joined, I would have been fired.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm. So has there been one book that changed the way you see yourself or the world?
To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper
Yeah.
Lee. I read it when I was very young, and uh, you know, uh, I never known what racism was, what classism was, until I read the book and I understood. Yeah.
Okay. If someone watching has a story inside them, but they're too afraid to write, what would be the very first step that you would tell them to take?
Uh, Start writing. Just start writing. Like, you don't have to write it on a laptop or on a piece of paper. If you have a story, just dictate it on your phone, and
Yeah.
then listen to it and rewrite it or whatever it is. But just write it. Don't write it that people will read it. Write it because you want to write it. And then there's, you do self edits, and there's enough number of people who will do edits. But one of the things that I can say it from experience is, finishing a novel is one of the most difficult things. You can have a story, you can have a great idea, but until you're able to convert it into a 75, 80,000 word novel, it's just an idea.
There's an exciting news that I need to share with the viewers about your next book, which has been acquired. Where,
Bloomsbury, yeah.
so, without giving too much about the book, what can we expect from your next?
Yeah, so it's a lot different from Shameless and Stilettos. It is actually not that intense. It is a thriller, but it's also a thriller comedy. So
Okay,
it's about a detecting duo, an aunt and her niece.
okay,
So both of them work with the police to solve murder cases. The aunt is like 60 plus,
okay,
and uh, the book is also it's supposed to be quite funny, right? But you can read it and tell me when it releases. But it also is about the struggles of like this really really smart woman, like mind like a whip, but she's aging and she's suffering from Alzheimer's. So she tends to forget simple words. Like, for example, if she wants to say the word neighbor, she will forget it. And then she will go about in a very long winded way. So that's why she has her niece with her to
okay.
translate what she's saying, because the niece gets her.
Yeah,
So, yeah, yeah,
interesting, very, very interesting.
yes. And of course, there's a serial killer, who they have to
And
find.
is there
So,
scope for spice in this book, or it's
so yeah,
totally
yeah, there is spice,
you'll somehow keep
definitely.
it
Yeah,
spice?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, there is spice. Not to the extent that it's in Shameless, but it's definitely there.
Okay, and if you could spill one drop of ink, final drop of ink, a thought, a lesson, or the truth you've learned throughout your life so far, what would it be?
Why are you asking me such tough questions, Tina?
Okay, then let's keep the question. There's no, see, you have all the right to, say, I don't want to answer this. You can be shameless about it and say, no, I'm not going to answer this at all.
No, it
You can
just makes me feel
abuse
like,
me also,
okay,
like the protagonist.
I'm 45. I have not learned any truth in life.
Okay, okay,
Am
okay.
I even
That's
worthy? Yeah,
okay, okay, okay.
yeah.
Um, what are you reading right now?
I just finished this book by Lucy Foley called The Midnight Feast. It's crap.
Okay, okay,
Don't bother.
okay.
And yeah, but it's sometimes, you read certain books and you get so angry that these books have been published by great international publishers, but it's like the plot doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
So and I've just started Mariana Enriquez's Things We Lost in Fire.
Okay.
So I'm
And
really looking forward to read it.
and if there's one book that you would recommend to people who have lost their reading mojo, what would that be?
Hmm. Reading mojo. It depends on what somebody prefers, right? So the one, in fact, recently we had horror as one of the themes in our book club, and people were like, "Oh, I don't read horror. Give me something which is less horror, less scary." And also, I had suggested Play Nice, which worked really well. It's a book by Rachel Harrison.
Yeah.
Um, Especially women would really enjoy reading it,
Okay.
and it's not that scary.
Okay. And for the men, also the same? Or it's all the
For
same?
men, I would say men who are like really into gaming, they should try reading Matt Dinniman, Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a really really good book. It's a series, in fact.
Okay.
And otherwise, fantasy Mistborn series, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Elle, it's been such a lovely meet. I know some of the questions were too deep for your liking,
No,
philosophical for your liking, and you're like, "What are
they
you doing?
weren't.
What are you
They
asking me?"
they weren't
And
deep. It's like, if
philosophical
any
as well.
way I try to answer those questions, I sound preachy. So I have a
Idea?
strange aversion to highly philosophical stream of consciousness books. It's a total snooze fest for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think Yeah. So good. It's been so much of fun, and I look forward to reading your next. And I also have certain thoughts to share about the book, which I won't in this because I wanted to
Yeah,
do it like
yeah,
one-on-one, like
yeah.
my filtered thoughts about the book,
Yes,
what I
please. Yeah,
loved and where I had few doubts, like, why did this person act here? Or what could have been better in my opinion, which you can or cannot take it also, that's
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
So we'll get back on a chat later. But thank you for this time. I mean, this has gone way beyond the time what I expected, and I had to rush towards the end with the
Yeah.
question. But yeah, it's been so much of fun. Just talking to
Likewise.
you and
Same,
seeing
Tina.
you,
Yeah.
and yeah, just happy that you're on the right path towards writing a lot of entertainers, and I'm sure someday it'll be on the big screen too. I'm very sure about that,
I
or the small
fingers
screen,
crossed. Fingers
OTT or
crossed.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very sure
Yeah.
about that. Bye, Elle, and
All
have
right.
a good day, and talk
You
to you
too.
soon
You too.
again. Bye.
Speak soon. Bye bye. Thanks.